Assalamu alaikum everyone. Thank you so much for being here once again. My name is Nurulani Yazdani and I'm an Education USA advisor here at the Lahore office. I went to Mount Holyoke College myself and I have filled out the CSS profile as a student and as well as and after that as well. So if you have any questions throughout this, please feel free to put them in the Q&A box. And before I dig into the CSS profile, which is why you all are here, we will start by a little introduction into who we are and what we do as an organization. Right, so United States Education Foundation in Pakistan is basically a binational commission between the governments of Pakistan and the US. We are basically providing one-on-one service like guidance to students as to what schools they should apply to and basically walking them through their entire US college application process. We all administer a bunch of different scholarships as well, such as the Fulbright and as well as the Global UGrad. For more information, you can always go to our website, which is uscfp.org. Education USA is basically just housed within USCFP. We are part of the US Department of State. All my colleagues and myself, we all have degrees from the US as well as State of Department training. We are basically your source for anything and everything to do with US higher education. We provide unbiased, authentic, current information on US higher education. So it is not limited to the CSS profile, but it goes beyond that. We also, we work with students on a one-on-one basis to help them finding their best fit. We at Education USA offer a bunch of different services. We have a bunch of different completely free in-house sessions, virtual sessions, such as this one that you all are attending today. We have our resource library. Students who are registered with us can access the library for completely free of charge. And you just have to email one of the advisors or whoever your assigned advisor is. But our most famous service is our one-on-one advising. You have nothing to lose. Do register with us. And this is the email address where you can reach out to us with questions even after the session. And this is the email address where you all can always register with us on our website, which is www.educationusa.pk. And thank you so much for listening to this and for paying attention. We will now dive into the CSS profile. Yes. So the CSS profile is basically, it's a financial aid tool for international students. Every student who wants to apply for need-based financial aid has to fill out this application. There's two types of financial aid available when it comes to US undergraduate admission process. The first is the CSS profile. The second is called the FAFSA, which is basically federal aid, but unfortunately, it is only limited for American citizens as well as American permanent residents. The FAFSA is basically, it's overseen by Congress. It's a federal process. It's a government thing. It's developed by the US Department of Education. So we will not go deeper into this because it does not apply to a lot of students in Pakistan. Starting off with the CSS profile, it is basically for institutional aid. You fill out this application for schools, for colleges that you're applying to get institutional aid. Over 400 schools in the United States are now using this application. And basically, it gives your college that you're applying to a detailed insight as to why you want the financial aid that you're requiring. And it is, again, to determine your eligibility for institutional aid. Lastly, before we move forward, we have a bunch of questions. Students ask us if they should report their income and their expenses in their home currency, which is PKR for us, or the USD. Sorry about that. With the constantly changing dollar and the dollar getting more and more expensive, we do not recommend students to use the US dollar because $25,000 today will be a different price tomorrow. So it is a better idea to always report everything in your home currency. You will pay with your debit or credit card. This application is very, very important because this is your chance to explain your eligibility and your and the fact that you really need the aid that you're requesting for. This is your chance to explain it to the financial aid committee. You pay with your debit or credit card. There's a $25 flat fee for applying to school, and there's $16 additional that you have to pay if you keep adding colleges you want to send your application to. And it's relatively fast process in the sense that as soon as you submit your application, it is made available to colleges within 1 business day. Again, it is just a tool for you to explain your situation to the admissions committee and to the financial aid office. There is a section which we will discuss about in the upcoming slides about how you can really explain your situation in a box which is called or which is labeled as special circumstances. The application, so you need to first start by seeing if the school that you're applying to even participates in the CSS profile or not. How will you do that? You will go on the CSS homepage and you will find a participating institutions list. Over there, you need to check if your school is participating in CSS profile or not. Not all schools do. You make your College Board account for starters, and then you go along. Some of the most common mistakes we see in students are, please make sure you are paid a lot of attention when you're choosing or when you're putting in information. Please do not choose the wrong academic year because that will just add time and just delay your application. Entering incorrect information when it comes to the getting started or in any section of the application. You will see what getting started, for instance, means in our upcoming slides, so don't worry about that. And answering incorrect questions. If you're confused at some point about your application, reach out to us. We're always there to help you. And if your school, whichever school you go to, I'm sure you have counselors there. If not, then it is always a good idea to reach out to College Board directly. They're very responsive, and if they, for instance, they have a huge volume of emails coming in, you can always call them and ask, just don't incorrectly answer a question based on confusion. It's always better to clear it out first. And then don't choose the wrong college or program. It can be very confusing because there's something which is called Cornell College as well as Cornell University. So both are very different. Make sure you're choosing the right one. You can always choose your school by this something which is called the CSS code. It is available on if you go to the school's website, you will find the CSS code there. If you can't see it there, you can always email the admissions office. And lastly, not submitting the application on time. It just looks very bad on your case that if you feel so passionate about it, if you really want that aid, you are delaying your application. So be careful about it, submit it earlier, and make sure the information you're putting it in is absolutely correct. This is what the CSS profiles page will look like. You will select sign in, and depends on if you're applying early or if you're applying regular, but most of you will choose fall 2023/spring 2024. And you will always log in with the College Board account. Once you log in, you will see that there will be a bit of color coding going on in your application. Green will just basically mean that your application is complete. You don't need to change anything about your application. Gray is basically you don't need to start it right now. And blue start just means that it just allows you to start the next section. Fee waivers. I know it is very expensive to even apply for a CSS profile, but unfortunately, Pakistani US citizens do not get CSS waivers. You just need to it is for their domestic students only, and only students whose parents have up to $100,000 gross income of that for that year. Your again parents live in the US, and just make sure you don't share your information with anybody, because whoever has access to your college board will have access to a lot of sensitive information that you put in. So be careful about that. This is how you will start with putting in some personal information. Be honest. You can be, these colleges go to the extent of maybe blacklisting if they caught that you have put in incorrect information, or if you have submitted a fraudulent document. That is really a big risk. So please do not submit anything which is incorrect. If you have a house, which is a very expensive house, schools will not expect you to sell that house to finance your education. So you should be transparent when it comes to that. Going forward, you will put in your information. Students, in case there's somebody of you who wants to fill out FAFSA and CSS both, make sure the information you put in is alike. For the rest of you who are just putting in CSS, you will put in your name and your date of birth. There will be some questions about the student, which you will choose. Most students will select no, that they're not at the risk of being homeless. But in case that they do, there will be additional information and additional questions asked. For each school report, you will put in what year of school you will be in. If you have any student ID which is assigned by your school, what are your housing plans, and what is your admissions application status? It means, are you doing regular decision, early decision, or early action? It then goes to answering questions about your parents, your parents' date of birth, their email, if they're in the US, their state of residency, and what is their education level. Yes, I've spoken about how you should always choose programs by your CSS code number. Calculate the amount that you can contribute towards what your parental contribution or your family contribution will be. And lastly, it is always a good idea to check if you have any scholarships or if you have any grants that might be available for individual schools. Yes, so for parents, you need to report all parents. If you have living, deceased, step-parents, guardians, anybody, but only up to 4 parents can be reported. For each parent, you need to put in their name and what is their relationship with the applicant. You will just keep going add another parent until 4 of them are reported, if that applies to you. Then you will be asked questions about, there will be questions about your parents' income, their federal tax returns, if they have wage statements, all of those questions will be asked. Again, there will be questions on financing for each parent, if that applies to you. What is their occupation? How many years have they worked there? There will be just detailed questions about employment as well as their retirement plans. So in case if parents are separated or divorced, each parent will have to fill out a CSS profile, a separate CSS profile. They will be given access to separate sections. This is just to ensure confidentiality. So people can be comfortable in putting in their financial information, and it just allows institutions to determine contributions from each parent individually, so they can calculate the total cost as well as the financial aid that is required by the student. These are a few examples of some financial documents that you will need for your application. Your parental recent tax return, or yours, if that applies to you, current tax year income. If they have any untaxed income, their bank statements, and any bonds or savings that they might have. For those of you who are raising hands, please type in your questions in the Q&A box, and I will take those at the end of the presentation. It then goes on to asking questions about your each parent's tax returns. If they filed the tax returns, are they going to do the plan on? It's a quite detailed section on parental tax returns. Yes, so there will also be question based on future income. After COVID, we know that, I mean, many people were affected by it and they continue to be affected by it. And there might be other reasons, it's not just limited to COVID. Do you expect an income change next year? Do you expect an income increase or a decrease? You need to report both if that's the case in this section from the application. Again, more questions on your parents' employment and retirement. All these options are there for you, so read carefully and then choose. So I know in the parental section, I said that only 4 parents can be reported, but that's not the case when it comes to household. In Pakistan, we have our grandparents and our aunts and sometimes more people living with us in our house. Household means anybody your parents are supporting financially by more than 50%. If the more than 50% of their finances are met by your parents, they come into your household and they must be reported. You need to report all of them, everybody in your household. You will just keep adding your members, and it will give you option to keep adding until and unless all of them are reported. It's a similar process in the sense that they will ask the name and the relationship to the applicant. If you have siblings, please report all of them because that will give college a clear idea what amount can they contribute towards your education. Schools realize that parents need to support and finance each child's education. So again, be transparent here as well. And yes, once again, it's a common mistake that students think that maybe their parents and the siblings are just their household when it comes to household summary, but that's not the case. You need to report anybody your parents support financially by more than 50%. Yes, so I've said this before, you need to report their name, date of birth, and the relationship to you or the applicant. You need to keep adding members until and unless every person is reported. Yes, so as I spoke about this too, you need to add each family member who's in school, what year of school they're in, and what year of school will they in next year. This is again to anticipate what amount of financial you will be requiring the next year as well. Parent housing, do you have your own home? If you have a home which is rented, if you live with others, all of this will be filled out. Again, schools do not expect parents to sell their houses, so be transparent. If your parents own the house, there will be questions on what year did they purchase it, current market value, what amount did they purchase it for. So you need to really sit down with your parents or your guardians to fill out this application. Do not put in information based on estimate or what you think is right, because they might ask for proof. So sit down with your parents while filling this out. Make sure the information you're putting in is accurate. This application then goes on to asking questions about parental assets, their current value of bank statements, bank accounts, if they own businesses or any farms or any real estate, everything needs to be reported. In case if your parents own multiple businesses, they need to report each business individually. And the name of the business will be used to separate questions if there are multiple businesses which are being reported. If the student earns themselves, they need to put in their income as well. It is okay if you're not earning and you put a 0 here because that's the truth. But if in case that you are working and the student has some amount of earning, you need to put in how much your income, where it says estimated, or where it says expected earnings, you can put like an estimate, but for the rest of it, you have to be specific. Not all schools will require you to fill out the student income section, so it really depends on the school that you're applying to. Again, schools do not expect students to finance their own education completely. This is just to estimate if you can assist with funding, or maybe if you can just earn enough to maybe pay for your stationery or like little personal expenses. This is a special circumstance section that I was talking about earlier. This is your chance to really explain yourself thoroughly. Use this, be specific, add exact amounts that, if I'm, for instance, if I'm requesting for $48,850 in aid, then I should really be specific in the sense that tell them why am I requiring this amount of aid, and be specific and include examples of how your like match it with your income, and just explain yourself really thoroughly. This is what will appear. This is something which is called the profile dashboard. You will have each college that you have chosen, their deadline, your payment receipt, deadlines, and there will be also link to school portal. Now it comes to how do you submit your documents? The documents as I spoke about earlier. Some schools, well, most of them now use something which is called the IDOC, Institutional Documentation Service. We will get into that in detail, but it is essentially just a tool where you can submit documents. Some colleges don't use IDOC, and in that case, you can just email it to them directly. But in case that your school uses IDOC, what do you do and how do you upload it? We will talk about that in the upcoming slides. So now, if you've made a mistake on your CSS profile, how do you fix that mistake? Let's look into that. You can only submit one correction. When it comes to, by one correction, I mean one application. You cannot change or delete what's already written. You can only change, like you can only add data in terms of you can only rectify it, but what's already submitted, you can't do anything about it. Corrections will be made available 1 business day after you submitted the application, and it is completely free for you to submit the correction. You need to, once it is available, you will click correct your CSS profile to start the process. And then you will submit a reason of why you're making that correction. The most tricky or the most confusing for students is normally what says changing from independent to dependent. That just means that the student was earlier claiming to be financially independent, and now they are financially dependent on their parents or on their guardians. In case that you choose this specific option, they will ask you more questions that weren't answered earlier. And you cannot start this correction directly. You need to first talk to the college board, customer service. Until unless you speak to them, you cannot start this correction. This is just to make sure the students don't submit this by mistake. They want to be very careful with this because this can really change an entire application. So once you speak to the college board representative and they open this option for you, you select this option and you complete the fee form text box, after which you complete the parental questions, which you didn't answer earlier. The questions on parent details, income, assets, expenses, household summary, supplemental questions if applicable. They might ask you for an explanation. It depends on your case, but that could be a possibility. And once all questions are complete, you will submit your correction at no cost. For any other sort of correction, you will just choose that option, complete the free form text box and click continue. Assets section is the only area where you can just provide updates. Again, you cannot override or delete any businesses that you were previously submitted. And once you've completed all the questions in the correction, you can then go ahead and submit your application. For any other sort of correction, just choose that and then complete the box and submit it. No other changes you have to do at that time. Okay, so before we get into IDOC, I'd like to answer the questions that we have in the Q&A box. I'm a bit confused about the parent CSS profile. Can you explain a bit more? Yes. So for us, what I mean is that you will make the application, but your parents will fill out um, details as to what income they're earning, what are your expenses, what tax they're filling out. So that part where they will ask you about parental assets, parental income, parental expenses, that needs to be filled out while you sit with the parent or somebody who has access to your finances. I hope that helps. Aliza Zedi, you can reach out to them again and they'll get back to you. If you are somebody from Lahore, then we have changed in advisor, so maybe try reaching out again and then you can get a hold of them. Maria is asking who should fill the CSS profile application. Should I do it from Pakistan? I need financial aid for undergrad in the US. I mean, I'm not sure if I understand this correctly, but as per my understanding, you will fill out the CSS profile, but you will sit with somebody who has access to your financial information. And you should totally do this if you're from Pakistan. This is for you. For Pakistani students who are under the category of international students, this is an application for them to get financial aid in undergraduate programs. Okay, what will be the eligibility scholarship? This is not scholarship, Anas Riaz. This is financial aid, need-based financial aid. Yeah, so this is not a scholarship. Ahmed Azim is asking, I have every detail to input, but still confused in the house details. I don't own the house by name, so I don't know. If you don't own the house, you need to choose other options if it's rented or if it is given by the employer. I mean, if the house isn't under your name, then you won't have to put in the value for it. Ma'am, I live with my parents in a house in my grandparents. It's my house. How do I feel about this? In this case, you can say that it's not your parents' house, but you can, they will ask you. You don't have to claim it as your own house if it's your grandparents' house. That's totally fine. If one parent is not allowed in the village, that will be an option on the application. You can say that one of your parent is deceased. But you will still need to report them, but you will choose the option of that they're deceased. Anonymous individual criteria of grant. I mean, this is very for grants specific question. Anonymous attendee, please keep an eye on our website, and I'm sure you will find resources to attend that session. This is not for that. Thank you. Is it Safan, and he's asking, is it applicable for graduate studies as well? No, unfortunately, CSS profile is just for undergraduate programs. Maria is asking, should we fill the CSS profile application in the same year? We are applying abroad in beforehand. No, you should do it the same year because your income will change, right? Your expenses change, and especially with the rising inflation, I'm sure expenses and all of that is changing. So don't do it beforehand. You should do it at the time you're going because you need to put an accurate and current information. Anonymous is asking, can I apply for applications and CSS profile after my A2 result? I mean, anonymous attendee, if you want to take a gap year, then sure, but it is too late for you to wait until your A2 result to apply for your applications as well as your CSS profile. US applications are not like UCAS or other schools where it can be done in like a day. It's a long process in terms of there's a common app, there's essay, there's teacher recommendations. So start early, and if you're current A2, now is the time to start like as soon as possible. Ahmed Azim is asking, and also about the $25 fee for submitting the CSS profile. There's no way around it. If you're a Pakistani citizen, Ahmed Azim, then yes, there's no way around it. However, if you're an American citizen, and your family income is less than $100,000, then yes, you can get the waiver. Faraz Khan is asking, my father is unemployed for like 2 years, so I need to highlight this, right? Yes, you need to be if whatever your family situation is, you need to be authentic and you need to put this in your financial aid application for colleges to consider. Malik Seek is asking, is it compulsory to have a job done by students so that it would create a good impact on your portfolio as well as your financial management? Not for your CSS profile. If you don't earn, many students in Pakistan don't earn. That is totally fine. Many do earn. Either way, you just have to be honest in your application about the aid that you're requesting. For us, I have given SAT2, so will this help in my CSS profile? This is need-based for SAT and other academic achievements. There's merit-based scholarships. So this is purely need-based, so no. Right now, I'm deciding on the maintenance for how long can be submitted. If the College Board's website is under maintenance, then you should really reach out to them on email because this is a question that they can answer as to when the website will be up and running. Yeah, so let's dive into IDOC. Thank you for asking all these questions. IDOC is, again, it's a tool where you can securely it's for secure electronic upload, transmission of documents to ensure confidentiality as well. Moving on. Okay. So step one, you log into IDOC. Sorry about that. Yeah. You log into IDOC to see what your next steps are. Similarly, you need to first check if your school even participates in IDOC. In case that it does, you will get an email with a link to IDOC. So you will know if your school uses it or not. College Board will process all your information that you filled out in your CSS profile, which will now reflect in your IDOC, and your student dashboard will have all the information. Yeah, not all schools participate. You will given a link if your school does, and only institutions that use IDOC can access this website. For this as well, select the correct academic year. Many students are confused about the CB Fin Aid ID number. If you're struggling with finding it, it should be somewhere in the top left or top right side of your page, of the CSS profile page. But if you're not finding it, you can always Google. That's something I've done when I was in school. I was confused as well. So I would always Google, where can I find my CB Fin Aid ID number? And that will show you with like a circle or like an arrow about where you can find it. So Google is your best friend. You need to put 2 of the 3 pieces of information that you do have, CB Fin ID number, social security number, or social insurance number. If you have it, this is not compulsory, or your date of birth. After this, you agree to the site's terms and conditions and click sign in. You log into IDOC. This is the family information page, which is displayed the first time the student logs into IDOC. It gathers all your family information. It gathers information of all your family members who might need to submit documents. And please, if you submitted incorrect information on your CSS profile, it will reflect on your IDOC. So it will be a long process in terms of correction. So be careful. And the first, where it says applicant, that will be your information. And then there will be information on your household as well. This will show up, which will basically have all the information, your status, documents you need to submit, all of that. Once you log in, you should be able to see this. The picture on the upper right-hand side will basically give you a link to the institution website. Some schools will have an institution-specific form which you can only go get from the school's website, where it says get forms. You will click that to get institution-specific forms. The lower right side will show you what documents are required, which institutions require them, and just will give you the option of initiating the document and electronically uploading them. Again, it will give you a status of your documents that you've uploaded, and you can it reports when the documents were they made available to institutions as well. Students will also, it's a great tool because students have access to the history of documents as well. Once uploaded, it's always there, you can always access it. However, you cannot sign forms electronically in IDOC. To complete the uploading process, you need to select the upload button and follow the instructions. There will be a bunch of instructions, read through them. Step 1, complete family information. Make sure you do not make spelling mistakes, you do not put in the wrong little word. Basically, what I'm trying to say here is make sure the information that you're putting in matches the documents that you're uploading. Don't say that your family income is 20 crores, but your income on your document says otherwise. Same for tax returns. Do not report a lower tax on your profile, but the documents you're reporting are showing something different. So make sure everything from name to spelling errors to income, everything matches. Then you need to review the guidelines to prepare for upload. And then you select a file and review the file. This is, you can see there's a purple arrow at Get Forms. This is where you get institution-specific documents. Most forms will require you to do handwritten signatures. In that case, you will print the form, sign it, create a digital copy, and then upload that signed document. Some processes for a successful IDOC submission. It's a rather simple process. Just make sure information is correct. I know I'm saying this again and again, but I cannot stress this enough because it is very, very important. Make sure you complete the tax year for that year that appears on your student dashboard. And make sure your information is easily readable by the financial aid officer. 3 should look like a 3, not like an 8. 1 should look like a 1 and not like an L. So be careful. And it's just general rule of thumb, if once you review your application, if you can't read something, there is a very high probability that the admissions committee or the financial aid officer cannot read it either. Make sure that you review documents that need signature, the documents that you've submitted everything correctly, and make sure to sign where the signature line is present, not above or below that. Some documents will allow to sign electronically, and if you do want to, then select the option at the end of the document, and you need to complete this process via DocuSign. Make sure you're uploading files in the right format, PDF or a JPEG. Make sure you're careful about that. Also, make sure that you're only uploading one document per scanned page. If you overcrowd documents, it will be just harder for financial aid officer to read your application, and you don't want that. By just keeping your documents separate, it's easier for them, and it will result in your financial aid application will be processed much faster. Don't upload or mail the same document twice. This can just be very frustrating for some of them. And again, they're humans, so you don't want to upset them as well. And make sure your files are under 9 MB. There are some tips when it comes to financial aid. This is my email address, nuruln@uscfp.org. And I will be, I know I can see there are some questions in the Q&A box, so I'll take those. Most universities mentioned to have financial admission is simply decline admission if you show less funds, since we can only submit one application, one month. That is not true. That you need to have 25,000. There's no set limit. That they need to see this, otherwise they will just decline. It really depends on your application and your case. This is a wrong assumption. You can only submit one application. You just need to CSS profile has nothing to do with maximizing admissions. It is just for financial aid. So for admissions, there's Common App. So I think you have a bit of confusion going on here. I meant Faraz Khan is saying, I meant for writing information in CSS profile, or I have to start from scratch. Faraz Khan, can you please drop me an email with your detailed questions, because I have more questions for you on this. Thank you. Anonymous Cindy is asking, does it affect your admission based on the amount of financial aid requirement? I mean, so there's something which is called the need blind. Need blind, there are very few schools in the US which are actually need blind. So yes, need blind schools are the ones that your admission isn't based on your financial aid requirement. But in the rest of your schools, if you can pay a higher amount of tuition, yes, that does give you more, you increase your chances of getting in. However, the fact that you can pay a lower tuition, that is not a flat out no. But yes, more does increase your chances. Vanya is asking here will be so Vanya will be doing a very similar session in October. Stay tuned on our website. You can maybe join the session sometime later. Simon Imran, will you provide recording of this session? Again, we will be getting, you can join it always in October. Abiha Farouk. Hi Abiha. Do we have to have an accountant to fill out this? No. You do not need anybody to fill out this information, maybe except you or your parents or who has access to your financial information. So don't worry. Maria is asking, what's the difference between CSS and IDOC? So CSS is basically, it's the primary application for financial aid. IDOC, पे आप सिर्फ documents upload करते हैं. Like you just upload documents on IDOC. It's just a tool for uploading documents and all of that. I hope that helps. Aliza Zedi is asking something from Karachi. Can I email you for question at the Common App? Aliza Zedi, you can reach out to the Karachi office. They have some amazing advisors there as well. There's an office in Karachi. Reach out to them at Karachi@educationusa.org, and I'm sure somebody very, very competent will get back to you. Hassan is asking, is this tax return of salary or business is applicable? It depends on what you are. If you're an employee, then you need to put in your tax return of your salary. And if you're an entrepreneur, you need to put in for your business. Or if you're both, then you need to report both. Faraz is asking, is this CSS profile a process of one go? Can I do it in 2 or 3 years? You can save your application, Faraz. You don't have to do it in one go. You can save your application and then start by, okay, sorry, I think Maria is asking, do all schools in USA require CSS profile for providing aid, financial aid? If your school participates in the CSS profile, then yes, you need to check that the school you're applying to, if there is CSS profile if they participate in CSS or not. It depends on the school that you're applying to. Momin Ehsan is asking, what does the CSS profile fee waiver cover? I mean, if you're an American citizen and your family income is less than $100,000, then your CSS Pro, you will get a waiver, and basically you won't have to pay for the application. Muhammad Farouk is asking, Muhammad Farouk, I've answered this earlier. You do not need, it's an assumption that you need to have $25,000 in finances for admission. No, that's not true. Also, CSS profile is not for maximizing admissions. It is just for financial aid. Mariam is asking approximately how long does it take to complete the CSS profile? I would say don't rush it. Take your time. As long as you submit it before the application, you'll be fine. But 4 or 5 days, if you give it like 1 to 2 hours every day, as long as you have your documents and everything's in place, it won't take that long. So it depends on your pace. Rohan Sukera, please sign up for a one-on-one advising service. I cannot give you that information based on this information. US application is a holistic review. It's not just your grades or just your SAT. While they're important, there's a lot of other things that go into an application for United States. So sign up with us and your advisor will work with you on a deeper level. Maria, what's CSS fee and is there? Maria, I've covered everything in the presentation, but it's a $25 flat fee and $16 for every additional application. No, there's no waiver for international students, unfortunately. Saima is asking, please explain the process, how school can play a role of CSS profile. It's Common App is where your school comes in when it comes to your council recommendations or your letter of recommendations. CSS profile is basically mostly with somebody who has access to your financial aid information. Faraz is asking, I have given SAT and entered a lot of information on College Board. For CSS, I have to start from scratch, or those info will get copy paste. I mean, your date of birth remains the same, your name remains the same, so sure, you can copy paste that, but the rest, that's different. You need to put that from scratch. Is ALD available to the senior plan 25? What ALD? Hassan, if you could elaborate on that. Malik Tawseek is saying, how much is CSS file interlinked with our College Board account? You need a College Board account to access your CSS to your CSS profile. So yes, very linked. Anonymous said, attendees asking, I heard the College Board waivers for CSS profile are not available to international students. Is that true? Yes, that is true. College Board waivers for CSS profile are not for international students, unfortunately. Kindly arrange in-person session in Islamabad. Saima, we have an amazing team in Islamabad as well. We have an offices in Lahore, Karachi, and Islamabad. For Islamabad, if you reach out to Islamabad at the rate of educationusa.org, we have a very competent team over there as well who can arrange similar sessions in Islamabad. So please reach out to them. I'm here for 5 more minutes. If you have questions, I'd be happy to take those. Anonymous attendee, do you offer one-on-one counseling as well? Yes, we do. You need to go to our website, which is www.educationusa.pk. There's a tab which says, how can Education USA help? And if you scroll down, you will find it's a short 30-second form which you can use to register with us. You get an assigned advisor and you can work with your advisor on a one-on-one basis. Saima, you can email them. The email address is islamabad@educationusa.org. Anonymous, then can I write $100 in family contribution section in relation to my family's financial situation? I mean, if that is true, then sure. But I mean, you'll have to see if the schools accept. I mean, if they give you that much aid, it is possible. Not unheard of, but don't lie on your application. If it is true, then you should definitely put this on your application. Anonymous, will there be session for Common App? Please keep an eye out on our website, educationusa.pk. We have a bunch of different sessions going on all year round. I'm sure there'll be something similar on Common App as well, so stay tuned. Faraz Khan, we give application free on the end, like after CSS info entered IDOC or before. जब आप submit करेंगे, you will put a file, put it in, sorry, you will submit the fee then at the end. Maria, can our high school provide waivers for application fees? Unfortunately, no, that is just for SAT. Sorry, that is for CSS profile, no, they do not have waivers to give out. Anonymous attendee, what is the fee for submitting CSS profile? $25 flat fee with additional $16 as long as you keep adding schools, you keep giving $16. Hassan, is aid available to those applying in community colleges? It is, since community colleges are quite cheap compared to private or public schools, they do have limited aid to give out. I mean, it's rare, but I mean, you can try to give it out. But it's not, I mean, they'll give it in the form of like waivers or something, but nothing more than that. Anonymous attendee, what kind of documents are required for Pakistani students for CSS? I covered all of this in the presentation. You will need to put in your tax returns, income statements, any untaxed incomes your parent has, bonds, all of that, bank statements, all of that needs to be filled. You need all of those documents. No, you need a tax return. You need to you need to check with your school. Maybe they will request you for the previous year tax return, but you do need it. In a high school, no, they cannot give you Common apps, if you can, her school provide qualifications in college, not CSS. So depends where you're applying. Are you applying independently or are you applying on Common App? Faraz Khan, these aids are given by US government or colleges by themselves. CSS profile is for institutional aid, so this is given by the college and not the government. Only US citizens and permanent residents have access to federal aid, sorry. Will this recording be available anywhere? I missed the start, unfortunately. We will have a very similar session in October, so you can always join us then. Stay tuned. But if you email me, I can email you the recording as well. Hassan, is this aid only for bachelor's degree? Yes, a CSS profile is only for undergraduate students. I'm going to stick around for just a minute if you all have more questions. If you're planning to Common App, so check with your counselors. Maria, if you email me, I can get back to you about this as well. With that, thank you so much for joining in today. Can you share your email ID, please? Yes. Faraz Khan, we cannot share slides, unfortunately. We don't do that. My email ID is nurulain@usefp.org. So you can email me there. I can type it out in the chat box as well. For some reason, I can't open the chat box, but it's noorulain@uscfp.org. Once again, thank you so much for attending the session. Please keep an eye on our website. You will find a bunch of different information sessions and resource material for admission in the US. We have something which is, we have sessions on the College Board coming up as well. So stay tuned. Thank you so much for joining, and Allah Hafiz.